I honestly can't even begin to fathom how incredibly difficult and awkward it must have been to go through my formative teen years behind a computer screen. Not being able to talk to my friends or go on a date or just get away from my parents for an hour. Um, I can't imagine at all what that might feel like, and that's the experience that every single one of my youth is dealing with every day. That at the same time of there's such an increased awareness of mental health issues due to just the globalization of our media and communication and whatnot. And so youth are so incredibly connected all the time, not just to their peer networks, but like to folks all around the world. And while that might seem great that we have a expanded vocabulary about mental health, that can also be incredibly overwhelming to people who don't have the skills or the tools yet, given that they're young people, of what to do with all of that information. Folks are dealing with depression. We've got PTSD, like global PTSD as a collective group. And that is a concern, of course, but it's also really great that we have words for it now. Not that those words didn't exist before, but we have like this collective understanding that youth are going through stuff. And like they are just as affected by mental health challenges as adults are.
I think a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. I think a lot of, at least what I heard from the youth, is a lot of feeling defeated. Like, what's the point? Kind of, what's the point of doing this or that? And I think that coming together and realizing that other people are feeling that way and that we're all kind of navigating this together and trying to find some wellness and health and mental stability, and that the garden and that's literally in people's own backyard or their own neighborhood can give access to that. We were isolated and we were indoors a lot. This program offers the ability to be outdoors, to get dirty, to put your, to meet people, to not be isolated, to grow things and eat healthy things, and learn how to do the mental health activities, not just alone in your room, but together. So I think after COVID, I think there's a lot of mental health issues that were coming up that this program can help address.
So after the pandemic, many students were like very hesitant to go back to the community. A lot of anxiety, fear. Everybody saw people dying, so I think that had a toll on the younger population. The fear of the unknown. I will say after the pandemic, mental health has like exploded in all levels, not only in the younger population, because we work with adults as well. So we have a lot of clients that call for services that are going through different mental health issues. Depression, anxiety, and other things. I think it took a toll mostly in the younger population, and also maybe seeing their families struggle financially. It was tough on them. So I think that's the difference that I see between before and after the pandemic. Even in the community. Before, it was easier to find employment for our students. Now, businesses are more like hesitant on hiring because of liability, and I don't know, things have changed after the pandemic.
It's something that I hear from my youth all the time that I'm working with, that the pandemic, COVID, all of these changes have had such a significant impact on mental health. I honestly cannot imagine having gone through my formative preteen, teenage years in developing relationships and learning how to talk with people learning how to explore my own boundaries and what other people are comfortable with. I can't imagine how that would have felt not being able to do that in physical close proximity to my friends who are still so important to me in my life today. You can't have that same kind of contact with other people. And so I've noticed that in addition to mental health impacts through COVID, there's also just been so many impacts on how people are able to express boundaries with one another, or on how people are able to say, I'm not comfortable with that, right? Now we're able to just go on mute or turn our camera off if we're not comfortable. You don't even have to talk to somebody. And so youth who, due to no fault of their own, have not been given the tools to navigate this global changing pandemic, on top of not having the tools because we haven't given them to them, they're being forced to deal with all of these changes that no one knows what's going on.
And in a world of, and we all do it, social media and scrolling on our phones and just, that's like, we think we're connecting, right? And maybe a little bit we are, like, yay, good Facebook and social media, we can connect with our families that don't live here. But like, that can also disconnect us. And so when we're in the earth and we're in the land and we're like seeing how we can grow things and foster things, that's like a step towards feeling connected. I think I'm concerned about depression and apathy. I think it's crucial for youth and anyone really to have a passion for something, an excitement for life. And if you feel scared about a pandemic or the future, or don't feel supported, then it's easy to fall into a depression. And when you're in that depression, it can be hard to find that passion again because it's hard to get out of that, right? So I think the biggest gift is to teach youth and even adults that, to find their passion, to find what they connect with.
So I would say motivation. There's a lack of motivation on a lot of students. Fear, they're afraid. I'm hoping that this can change in the future, but yes, it's been challenging. A lot of anxiety on my students. I think what concerns us the most is the presence of the anxiety in the younger population. And this translates not only on their personal life, in their educational environment as well. Like when they have tests or things like that, they take it like in a different way. They get very anxious. And sometimes anxiety comes with depression, low self-esteem. They don't feel comfortable or confident. That's what I see.
I think that with mental health issues, it can be kind of a disease or an issue of isolation, and the remedy to that is community and connection. And so whether it's garden or arts or whatever avenue that is of interest to the youth, I think building community and building those connections is what will help move into wellness.
We need more mental health resources in more languages that are free, period. I know one of the major challenges, especially in the work that I do in like urban San Diego, is that we have people from all over the world here who speak all sorts of different languages and have all sorts of different backgrounds and perspectives on how to be healthy and happy people. But we don't really have those services available for all people to access, especially when we think about mental health services. So we know that in a lot of places, seeking mental health care is really stigmatized and not talked about. And so I think it's really important that we recognize that, and as a place where we want lots of people from all over the place with varied backgrounds to be living, we as a nation need to do more to support those people. We know that it's not their fault, and we need to provide that support. It cannot just be in English and in Spanish. It needs to be accessible. It needs to be locally available. And with providers who look like the community, who come from the community. And so that means that we need to do a better job of teaching those people and of lifting up people from within the community versus relying on the traditional systems of like people who go to high school and get good grades, go to college, and they can become teachers and therapists. That is one route for some people who have that level of privilege. There are also so many other ways to be a helper and to give back to your own community. And we really need, it would be so great if we could lift up more community projects, even like this one, honestly, where we're talking about things as a community, having things like this available in so many different languages where people from all different walks of life are able to connect with that.